Michael Jordan sold his stake in the Charlotte Hornets this week, and the rest of the media decided to just, in more Jordan deification, they're like, oh my God, can you believe a guy bought a pro sports franchise decade plus ago, sold it, and turned a profit? What a brilliant businessman. Oh, only the GOAT. We see all these stories about people. They're like, yeah, what happened? Why are you applying for unemployment? They're like, oh, I just took a bath on owning the Toronto Maple Leafs. You got to believe it. You know, I used to be a rich man, and then I sold the Arizona Cardinals, and now I'm out on the streets. But MJ, only MJ, all of a sudden he's got $1 billion. Can you believe it? That was the other media's interpretation. Mine was a little different, which was, and I want to be crystal clear on this, I believe when we are discussing who the greatest player of all time is, I have this crazy belief that the clock should start from the moment they're drafted, and the clock should end the moment they play their final game. That should be our landscape for the debate. Their NBA careers. But I have been told for years that's not how this works. And with Jordan, it has been the ultimate game of three-card monte, because just when it comes to the playing career, it's not the playing career. It's 6 for 6, which would mean 6 for 6. So you had 6 opportunities, you got all 6. So the greatest player of all time had a 6-year career? Well, no. He played 15. Oh, okay, so he had a 15-year career. So are we counting all of that? Well, not really. Well, what do you mean? Well, the last 2 years don't count. Why don't they count? Well, they just don't count. Oh, okay, that's fine. So when you say 6 for 6, he had 6 straight years of championships is what you're saying? No. Well, what were there? Well, there were 8. So then why is it not 6 for 8? Well, he was retired the 2 years in the middle. Oh, he was retired for 2 full years in the middle? Well, no, actually, he came back 1 year. He came back 1 year? Oh, but he came back, but his team was so bad without him, they missed the playoffs? No, they made the playoffs. Oh, they did? Was he any good? Yeah, well, he got MVP votes that season. He did? But in the playoffs, did he, get hurt? No, he averaged, almost 40 a game in the series they lost. They lost? Oh, yeah, in round 2. Oh, that team then went and won the title? No, that team got swept. Wait, but he would have won the title? But we don't count that year. No, it's not fair to count that year. By the way, have I told you about the double nickel he dropped in Madison Square Garden that year that's still part of his legend? Let me tell you about it. So that part, that the entirety of his career, other than the 6 years where they won rings, we don't count. Oddly, it's a weird thing we do. I don't quite get it. It's never made sense. But whatever. Here's the other part, and this is where the ownership stuff comes in. And everyone watching knows either if they are on the Jordan side of the argument, they have made this argument. If they are on the opposite side of this argument, they have heard people make this argument that when you are arguing with someone who, like a religious zealot, believes Michael Jordan is clearly and unequivocally the greatest player of all time, you have heard the shoes brought up. You have heard. I mean, come on. If he's not the GOAT, then how come his shoes are still the most popular? Saved Nike. Reinvented sports commercialism. You have heard I've heard about the suits after the game, the shaved head, the mystique, the aura. All of it has been part of the giant stew that people use to argue Michael Jordan's the greatest player ever. The whole story. It is under that pretense that Michael Jordan, being as far as on-court performance, not malfeasance, not racism, not the things we've had owners kicked out for. How good is your team? The fact that the team he ran for 15 years was the worst team in basketball has to matter. You want only the on-court stuff to matter, I'll sign up for that. But all the folks who have argued, oh man, but the threes are just an iconic shoot. All of that, and you've heard these arguments. Well, then, the fact that you owned a team for 15 years, they won 3 playoff games, 0 series. Jordan's ownership tenure of the Hornets is much like his playing career pre-Pippen. 0 series wins, 1 playoff game win before Pippen got there. 0 series wins. That was it. It's just longer. And lastly, again, if you want to have an earnest, honest discussion, I ask you this. You don't have to answer it right now. Just think about it. If when Jordan took over the Hornets, they turned into a juggernaut. If he took over the team, ran basketball ops, and they ripped off a dynasty, do you honestly think folks would not be using that as part of the argument as to more evidence that he's the GOAT? Of course they would. Of course they would. So I'm just asking what's good for the goose. And if we want to make it just about a basketball career, so be it. I'd like that. As I am sitting here right now wearing Jordans. They are a dope sneaker, I gotta tell you. But that's never been the rules. It's never been how it's been argued. The producers follow up with, why are you holding MJ's bad front office decisions against him, but fine with LeBron forcing the Westbrook trade? Well, that's another example of how insane this stuff has become. Michael Jordan actually ran a team, owned it and ran it, and has skated for 15 years on them being the worst in basketball. LeBron plays for a team and LeBron has gotten more criticism as a shadow GM than Jordan has gotten as the actual GM. It's if everything matters, the producers, right? Shouldn't the fact that Space Jam 1 is way better than Space Jam 2 be part of the conversation? Sure. For the folks that want to do that. By the way, that was if everyone is just trying to retcon what actually happened. When Space Jam 2 came out, and people can now say they were joking, we all saw the tweets, saw the comments, seemingly joking on television about Space Jam 1 being so much better than Space Jam 2 being further evidence. We all saw it. So, that's it. Once again, I'm just the only fair and honest, media member left on this stuff, it would appear. No agenda, just an accurate telling of the story. Hey,
thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.